Chapter 10 of the Madman and the Pirate. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read and recorded by Betsy Bush in Marquette, Michigan, August 2007. The Madman and the Pirate by R.M. Ballantyne. Chapter 10. We change the scene once more, and transport our readers over the ocean waves to a noble ship which is breasting those waves right gallantly. It is HMS Furious. In a retired part of the ship's cabin there are two savage nobles who do not take things quite as gallantly as the ship herself. These are our friends Tomeo and Buttchee of Ratinga. Each is seated on the cabin floor with his back against the bulkhead, an expression of woebegone desolation on his visage, his black legs apart, and a ship's bucket between them. It were bad taste to be too particular as to details here. On quitting Ratinga, Tomeo and his brother chief had said that nothing would rejoice their hearts so much as to go to sea. Their wish was gratified, and not long afterwards they said that nothing could rejoice their hearts so much as to get back to land. Such is the contradictoriness of human nature. There was a stiffish breeze blowing, as one of the man-of-war's men expressed it, and a nasty sea on. He did not say on what. There must have been something nasty also on Tomeo's stomach, from the violent way in which he sought to get rid of it at times, without success. "Oh, Buttchee, my brother," said Tomeo, of course in his native tongue, "many years have passed over my head. A few white streaks begin to... He paused abruptly and eyed the bucket as if it were an intention. "To appear," he continued with a short sigh. "Also, I have seen many wars and suffered much from many wounds as you, ha! You know, Buttchee, my brother, but of all the..." He became silent again, suddenly. "Why does my brother pause?" asked Buttchee, in a meek voice, as of one who had suffered severely in life's pilgrimage. There was no occasion for Tomeo to offer a verbal reply. After a time Buttchee raised his head and wiped his eyes, in which were many tears, but not of sorrow. "Tomeo," said he, "was it worth our while to forsake wives and children, and church and hymns, and taro fields and home for this?" "We did not leave for this," replied Tomeo with acerbity, for he experienced a temporary sensation of feeling better at the moment. "We left all for the sake of assisting our friends in there. It comes, it..." He said no more, and both chiefs relapsed into silence, gazing the while at the buckets with undue interest. They were interrupted by the sudden entrance of Ebony. "Come, you yaller-cheeked chiefs, you's die if you no make a heffort. Come on deck, breave de fesh air, git up a happetite, go in for salt pork, plum duff, and lopscrouse, and you'll get well before you can say Jack Rubinson." Tomeo and Buttchee looked up at the jovial negro and smiled, imbecile smiles they were. "We cannot move," said Tomeo and Buttchee together, "because we... Together they ceased giving the reason. It was not necessary. "Oh dear," said Ebony, opening his great eyes to their widest, "you no can lib long at dat rate. Better die on deck if you must die. More heasy for you to breave up dere, and more comfortable to frow you overboard when you's got it over." With this cheering remark, the worthy negro, seizing the chiefs each by a hand, half constrained, half assisted to rise, and helped them to stagger to the quarter-deck, where they were greeted by Orlando, Captain Fitzgerald, Waroonga, and the missionary. "Come, that's right," cried the captain, shaking the two melancholy chiefs by the hand. "Glad to see you plucking up courage. Tell them, Mr Zeppa, that we shall probably be at Sugarloaf Island to-morrow or next day." The two unfortunates were visibly cheered by the assurance. To do them justice, they were not quite given way to seasickness until then, for the weather had been moderately calm, but the nasty sea and stiff breeze had proved too much for them. "Are you sure we shall find the island so soon?" asked Orlando of the captain in a low, earnest tone, for the poor youth's excitement and anxiety deepened as they drew near to the place where his father might possibly be found. At the same time a strange, shrinking dread of what they might find made him almost wish for delay. "I'm not sure, of course," returned the captain, "but if my information is correct, there is every probability that we shall find it tomorrow." "I hopes we shall," remarked Waroonga. "It would be a grand blessing if the Lord will gif us the island and your father in same day." "Most too good to be true," observed Ebony, who was a privileged individual on board, owing very much to his good-humoured eccentricity. "But surely you not 'spects de niggers to tumble down at you's feet all at once, Massa Waroonga?" "Oh no, not at once. The day of miracle have pass," returned the missionary. "We must use the means, and then has we not the promise that our work shall not be in vain?" Next day, about noon, the Sugarloaf Mountain rose out of the sea like a great pillar of hope to Orlando, as well as to the missionary. Captain Fitzgerald sailed close in, sweeping the mountain side with his telescope as he advanced until close under the cliffs, when he lay to and held a consultation with his passengers. "I see no habitations of any kind," he said, "nor any sign of the presence of man, but I have heard that the native villages lie at the lower side of the island. Now the question is, whether would it suit your purposes best to land an armed party here and cross over to the villages, or to sail round the island, drop anchor in the most convenient bay, and land a party there?" Orlando, to whom this was more directly addressed, turned to the missionary. "What think you, Waroonga? You know native thought and feeling best." "I would not land armed party at all," answered Waroonga, "but Captain Fitzgerald knows his own business most. What he thinks?" "My business and yours are so mingled," returned the captain, "that I look to you for advice. My chief duty is to obtain information as to the whereabouts of the pirate vessel, and I expect that such information will be got more readily through you, Waroonga, than any one else; for besides being able to speak the native language, you can probably approach the savages more easily than I can." "They are not savages," returned Waroonga quietly. "They are God's ignorant children. I have seen worse men than South Sea Islanders with white faces and soft clothing, who had not the excuse of ignorance." "Nay, my good sir," said the captain, "we will not quarrel about terms. Whatever else these ignorant children may be, I know that they are brave and warlike, and I shall gladly listen to your advice as to landing." "If you wish to go to them in peace, do not go to them with arms," said Waroonga. "Surely you would not advise me to send an unarmed party among armed children?" returned the captain, with a look of surprise, while Orlando regarded his friend with mingled amusement and curiosity. "No, you best send no party at all. Jist go round the island, put down anchor, and leave the rest to me." "But what do you propose to do?" asked the captain. "Swum to shore with Bible." Orlando laughed, for he now understood the missionary's plan, and in a few words described the method by which Waroonga had subdued the natives of Ratinga. "You see by this plan," he continued, "nothing is presented to the natives which they will be tempted to steal, and if they are very warlike or fierce, Waroonga's refusal to fight reduces them to a state of quiet readiness to hear, which is all that we want. Waroonga's tongue does the rest." "With God's Holy Spirit and the Word," interposed the missionary. "True, that is understood," said Orlando. "That is not always understood," returned Waroonga. "The plan does not seem to me a very good one," said Captain Fitzgerald thoughtfully. "I can have no doubt that it has succeeded in time past, and may probably succeed again, but you cannot expect that the natives, even if disposed to be peaceful, will accept your message at once. It may take weeks, perhaps months, before you get them to believe the gospel, so as to permit of my men going ashore unarmed, and in the meantime, while you are engaged in this effort, what am I to be doing?" "Wait God's time," answered Waroonga simply. "But time presses. The pirate vessel, wherever it may be, is escaping me," said the captain,